Hello plant people, Nora the Leca Queen here. Plastic bag moss pole. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the plastic bag. This one. This is my Manjula here, and she's living on a moss pole with a plastic sheet backing. Now, you all know what the advantages of a plastic sheet backing are. So it keeps the moss pole moist longer, and it also helps to direct the roots down. Now, I know that a lot of you have had trouble finding the plastic sheet back, and I also have trouble finding the plastic sheet back as well, because where I used to get this nice firm one, they don't sell it anymore. They've got that item out of stock, and I think they're just not going to stock it anymore. So I have a little bit of a problem. How do I make my plastic back moss pole if I can't find a plastic sheet backing? So I have come up with another alternative, and if you live in Australia, I've got some good news for you. I'm not sure what you can do if you don't live in Australia, but you probably could do what I suggest and just look around. But yes, this is what we're going to do. I go to Officeworks. You know, Officeworks in Australia is a big stationery store. They stock all sorts of stuff, you know, anything from computers to paper to pens. It's that kind of store. You go into the store for your printing and all sorts of stuff. So I've gone to Officeworks and I've asked them for scraps of plastic sheet. So, you know, when you're making a document and they put a plastic sheet at the back to protect the document that's being spirally bound, that's what I went and asked for. So this is what I'm talking about. So these are thin sheets of plastic. They're pretty much waste. It normally comes rolled up like that. And they'll say, yeah, just go in that box, help yourself to whatever you want, and they're gonna chuck it out anyway. This is stuff that's actually going to be discarded anyway. So I am going to show you how I make a moss pole like this with these sheets that you can get for free at Officeworks. So if you don't live in Australia, I guess you've got stores that are like Officeworks in your country, you know, a store where you can go and get your laminating done, you can get your photocopying done, where you can have documents printed out. They would have something that looks like this. So it's a plastic sheet. Just go and ask them to see whether they can give you that, and that's what you could use. Well, so when you get those scraps, they're going to be of varying sizes, obviously, because it is scrap. So I've got like this much. I get the long ones because I'm going to use a long one. Now, what's really important is the fact that this sheet is actually quite light. And one of the things that's good about using firm plastic sheeting is it actually provides support to the moss pole as well. So this one is quite firm, and when I tap on it, you can actually hear it's quite firm. So it provides support. This one will not do the same thing. So we need to have many layers. So I put about 4 or 5 layers to thicken this up, and that's what I use to make my moss pole. Now that we've established that we can use that, I know I want to make my moss pole to look exactly like this one. I want it to be of the same size. So I need to determine the size, the width of the plastic sheet backing that I am going to cut in order to fit the size of mesh. So I've just got some twine here. I use the twine or any piece of anything really that you can use. Because it's curved, we can't really use a ruler to determine the width of that. So I like to use this, and I just put that and I measure across how wide that is. So I know that it's this wide, so I get my scissors and I cut off the bits there, and I know that this is how wide I want my plastic mesh to be. Okay, so I can now put this plant away. Well, and before I put the plant away, I also need to find out how wide my mesh is going to be. So all I do is just count the boxes there. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7. So I need my plastic sheet back to be this wide, and I need my wire mesh to be 7 boxes across. So I've already cut a wire mesh bit here that's 7 boxes across. So when I cut my plastic sheet is going to go there, and my moss pole is going to look like this one. So what I'll do now is get my plastic sheet and start cutting. So I've got my blade here. I've got this, and that helps me measure. I love this thing. I love my cutting mat. This is a cutting mat, and it's graduated, and you can see all the lines. It's fantastic. My daughter uses it for her sewing, but you know, it's really helpful to cut my plastic sheet. So I've got a piece of plastic sheet here, and I'll just align it with the straight side. That's the straight side. And I now want to get my piece of string. So all I do is just measure out exactly how many centimeters that is. And that is 13. So that is 13.5 centimeters. I align my plastic sheet there. And all I do is, I've got my ruler just to help guide my blade. So there. So I make sure I'm holding that tight. I get my blade, and being very careful with your blade. And I cut that. So that piece of plastic sheeting there is exactly how wide I need it to be. That is 13.5. So I keep going. So this sheeting is exactly the width I need it to be, but I now need to make at least 3 more that look exactly like this. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the plastic sheet that are the same length and width. So what I'm now going to do is put these together. So approximate the corners so they're all properly aligned. So as you can see, I've got them all opposed and they're all together, and I'm now going to staple them together. And I make sure to do the same on the other side. Staple that together. So this now becomes one thick plastic sheet. And just stapling throughout there. So I now have a piece of plastic sheet that is thicker than when I started, because there's 4 of them there, and I've put staples on just to make sure they stay together. I'm now going to get my hole punch and make holes in this. So you're just wanting to make sure that you make the holes, you know, as evenly as you can. And that's where you'll have your cable ties going through to attach the mesh to the plastic sheet. You can make it as neat and symmetrical as you like. And that's that plastic sheeting with the holes. And when I am constructing my moss pole, that is what that will look like. So that's my mesh, and that's my plastic sheet backing, and my moss pole is going to be like that. And all I have to do is assemble it, and that will be my moss pole. I was going to pot up my Monstera aurea, but I've run out of Leca, so I need to get myself some new Leca. I might show you how I do that in a later video, but that's pretty much how that would work. And if you want to get on and make yours, just click on the link above, and that'll take you straight through to a video where I actually put a moss pole like this together. So when that moss pole is constructed, when I finally do put moss in it and I put a plant up on it, it's actually going to look like this. It really, really will. But if you are going to go ahead and make your moss pole now, do not forget to put the holes in the middle there where this plastic sheet is going to have the metal rod attached to it. This is what I mean. So see here, I have a cable tie that's attaching the metal rod to the plastic sheet. Don't forget to do that. That's very, very, very important. But yeah, that's what I do when I can't find any plastic sheet backing. And if you've enjoyed watching this, and if you want to keep seeing more videos where I do all sorts of things with plants and get innovative and just, you know, make my plants grow the way I want them to, please subscribe and watch my videos. It really helps my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks. Bye.